Ladies and gentlemen, sorry for a little bit of an AFK period for me, but I'm back and here we go. Me to tell. Here today with a König replay on Big Race. So let's get this started. We've basically been looking at carriers for the recent time period. So now let's have a look at something else. Now if I wanted to be completely honest, I could pretty much do a full week of carrier replays since I seem to be getting a bloody lot of them. So, yeah, decided to show something different. So let's have a look at our team lists. We get a three-ho, they get a three-ho. We get a Texas, they get double König, we get double König, they get, well, everybody gets a Kirishima, they get a Congo on top. Myogi versus Wyoming, Myogi gets a little bit better range, Wyoming gets better upfront firepower, and otherwise the cruisers seem to be okay. They get an extra, but we get an extra destroyer, and of course, due to the top tier matchmaking being forced, both teams have a tier 5 destroyer, and we have a division of tier 4s. Now, we're heading towards the destroyer rally, if you want to call it that. Although they only have 2 destroyers, so it's not that bad, and the König just have long enough secondary range, and not only that, it also has fast enough main gun reload that it can actually deal with destroyers a little bit better than most other battleships can. The ship itself is mobile enough, so that usually isn't too much of a problem. Now, just looking at the ship, it seems we are fully upgraded. So, let's see how this battle plays out. Of course, captain skills-wise, I don't actually know what we have, so we'll just have to find out. The turrets seem to be turning decently fast enough, so I'm guessing we might have that. At least. And let's have a look at our AA range. Might give us an indication here. Secondary armament, 4.7. Let's see. Isn't that the Sharnel's flag? Yep, that looks like the Sharnel's flag, but no signals on the ship. But we are at least using double premium consumables, so yep. Now we see a couple of shells incoming. We decide to fire blind back at it. That could be just a replay bug, but due to the fact that we didn't actually manage to find a target on the Fritaka, chances are we did in fact fire when the target was not spotted. Simply if he had waited about half a second, he would have shown up and continued broadsiding there. He could have gotten a pretty good hit. Or, of course, RNG could have said, screw you, and the lot of it would have missed regardless. Here we are taking another pot shot at the Wyoming, but now I probably would be swapping to, like we are, swapping to high explosives. There is a destroyer coming up in front of us, the Clemson, if he comes around the corner. Either HE or AP would be fine at this point, since he doesn't have that much health, but HE would be able to break some of his modules, maybe reset some of his torpedo tubes and prevent him from being able to spam more fish at us. And we're moving. Definitely have noticed the destroyer coming in. And the Congo takes a massive hit from torpedoes, it seems, and is now on 20,000 health. And torpedoes aren't really that healable in terms of damage dealt, so that's mostly going to stick. Now, we haven't really seen much of their carrier at the moment. There's the fighter squadron coming in. And since we actually do have high explosives loaded, or at least the replay says it, simply derping it at the Congo probably wouldn't be that bad of a thing to do right now, due to the fact that he just ate fish. But the Clemson seems to be on the move now, and we're also spotted surface, because of probably the cruiser down on F8, but the Clemson's coming around the corner. He's probably much more interested in the Myogi and the Isakaza in front of his face at the moment. And it sure seems that way with the direction his guns are pointing. And there you go. Now, in my opinion, when you fire a gun like that, I would just press, the Z button or middle mouse to fire a single shell like that, and just follow the shells up to the ship so he can see, exactly where his guns are pointing, because that can be very useful in figuring out who he's torped and figuring out where he could potentially have torped. Now, while we were spotted, the probability stands that he would have torpedoed at the stuff that was in his face. But the Clemson does have torpedo launchers on both sides of the ship, so there's a good chance it could have torpedoed us as well. So the precaution we took there was definitely justified, and certainly a good thing to have in mind. Now, Kirishima seems to be turning towards a broadside for us, so we hold the shot until it's a very good broadside. However, with these 30.5s, the probability of us scoring a citadel is quite low. So if, for example, we had been in a I don't know, New York here, we could have pushed out quite a good chunk more damage. However, 14,000 is certainly not bad either. Angling ourselves in against the Kirishima, because we don't want to take an equally massive hit in return. And also, it permits us to start tearing up this Fudetaka if he comes around the corner. Now, with Fudetakas at this tier, their armor isn't that good, so we can simply just lol pen their bow, and with this rate of fire, simply aiming a little bit lower in and trying to get the shells to fall in the water right next to his bow after he turns it on like this, should be a very good chance for us to just instantly wipe him out with a single salvo. But he's not completely silly, actually. He's keeping himself slightly angled to the point where it's difficult, even if we do lol pen the bow, to completely murder him. Now, we're on fire. I will just immediately trigger the T button to heal, because we're going to be getting shot at a lot. We do have the premium consumable, so we will regenerate cooldown fast enough for us. And yeah, that was a bit unfortunate. However, the Fudetaka is, well, definitely going to be trying to torpedo us, and the Fudetaka does have very good torpedo angles. Now, in my opinion, damage control partying there could have been very nasty, since the torpedo tubes on the Fudetaka do actually have pretty good firing angles if he did manage to get them off at us, and while he causes the flooding, would be pretty stuffed. Same goes for the Phoenix. He is in torpedo range, he's spamming at us. And one fire really isn't much. Anyways, our guns come back up, and whoops. Well, I guess, well, Phoenix. Now, we're gonna, thankfully, evade those torpedoes, and the other one that potentially could have hit us is gonna smack itself into the island, so that's not a problem. Sienna still behind us, spamming some HE at us. While we're reversing, our turrets can't actually keep up to fire on that, unfortunately, and we still have two battleships we need to deal with, and our Texas is almost down. Now, our carrier is also under attack at this point, so we wouldn't really be able to count on much support from him, unless he just simply auto-attacks it. And König versus König is also a bit iffy. But that's not the biggest of our problems. This guy just showed up, and the thing also has torpedoes! So he's basically hoping that that guy's already dumped them, because it did seem like he did fire them earlier in the direction of the Texas. So, and well, with the planes flying over and not having spotted anything, he's hoping that they by now we would have known, but they simply just weren't fired. And the enemy König is under attack by the Tuiho, while he himself is actually under attack, which is definitely helpful for us, because if the Tuiho does cause a flooding, it'll put us in a position where our secondaries can set it on fire for some lasting fires. And, well, equally though, we're under attack by the enemy carrier. We do get our heal up. Unfortunately, without a Dreadnought signal, we don't actually get too much back from it. But the planes just simply... Actually, no. If I say we're under attack by the planes, I'm being stupid. They attacked the Tuiho. They were just simply flying over on the way back. The other squadron coming from the south is heading in our direction and could potentially be trying to attack us. Anyways, the König does set us on fire, and again, using a damage control party here, I'm not a major fan of using damage control parties as single fires. I'm sure you've noticed that by now. But at least the enemy carrier seems that it gives, there's a good chance it's going to be something more occupied and trying to kill off our carrier, so it's not actually that bad. But still, that, in that sense, would have been a safe damage control party to use due to the fact that we were getting around the corner and the secondaries wouldn't be able to continue shooting us until our damage control party would have expired, so that was pretty much safe. However, as we go around this corner again, we massively overturn, which exposes our complete broadside to that Congo, which we just had a look at, but also over-angled against the König. Not to mention that our front turrets weren't doing anything, so in my opinion, we could have waited a bit, tried to take out the Congo before going around for the König kill, which had gotten himself, rebalanced himself on an island. Really good dispersion there. We managed to pick up some solid damage on him. But this enemy König is staggering his turrets, so at some point we're always going to be showing a poor angle to him or the Congo that was, behind there. I say was, because he's not there anymore. The König's armor is pretty tough, even when I guess you can say minorly, somewhat angled like this. So our armor does eat quite a lot of this incoming ammunition. We trigger our next heal as we leave this König on 1,300 health. So here's hoping our guns can reload fast enough before some AT spamming frat steals a kill from us. We're on 3, there's 3 enemies left. Kill this guy, 1 more kill, and we have a run for Kraken. Guns reloaded, shots on the way. We just need 2 overpen or 1 penetration, and 1 pen is what we get. Target done. And with still 1 heal left to go, and pretty much for the full duration of it that we can get, we're definitely in a good shape. However, if the 3-ho decides to go for us, and 2 torpedo bombers with a manual drop hit us, we're dead. But I don't think that's going to be the case, because there is a minicaster chasing the tail of that enemy 3-ho, so let's just do the post-game recap. 103,000 damage. We got 43 shell hits, 3 planes shot down. They were mostly planes flying over us on the return, with 1, I think, shot down towards the 3-ho at the end. Managed to incap a turret, not to permanently destroy it. 5 citadels, which were all against cruisers, because we don't really have the anti-ship firepower to take down, I guess you could say, battleships. Those shells probably aren't going to reach because plop torpedoes, so there we go. 26 secondary hits on top of that as well, and the 4 kills. 2 devastating strikes, 1 against the Furutaka that almost would have been in a position to torpedo us, and the second one, again, the Phoenix, I think, which we did actually get torpedoed at from. Thankfully, he didn't realize that we would have been trying to unstucking ourselves off the island, so he fired it at the position we were stuck on. Very fortunately for us. Having a look at the team list. Top on the team list, 1,507 base experience with 4 kills. Minikaza underneath us, 4 kills, 1,442 experience as well. And the rest of the team, well, the other König over 1k, everything else under 1,000. But 8 kills between the top 2 players on the team is certainly not bad. Detailed report, we can see we picked up a good chunk of the enemy König, 31,000. Eviscerated the Phoenix with 23k. Did manage to pick up barely over half on the Furutaka. Finishing off the Königsberg on low HP, 5,000 with a Citadel, because, ladies and gentlemen, that's just how the game works. Our, well, it's in German, but the secondary batteries managed to pick up 10,000 damage with our AP shells, actually, surprisingly picking up 9k throughout the engagement there. The AT spamming secondaries, although having scored 4 more hits than the AP secondaries, only did 1,000 damage because they are, after all, 10cm cannons, and if any 10cm shell goes derped into someone's belt, it's doing jack shit nothing. Anyways, doing the summary, we went into the destroyer out in a battleship, something that's not too bad to do if there's only 2 enemy destroyers. When we noticed the Clemson, and we definitely did notice him early enough, we had basically a set of eyes on him throughout the entire battle until his demise. When we saw that he was in a position to potentially rush us, we swapped the high explosive ammunition, a very good choice indeed to make. In my opinion, it would be better to, of course this is down to personal opinion, to track the shells as they are in the air against the enemy destroyer to figure out which way he's pointing, unless of course you have really, really sharp eyesight and a good resolution that I don't, and you can actually see that yourself as you shot him. But I couldn't hear, so it's something I personally would like to do as well. Otherwise, the engagement later on, with the König's very strong belt and bow armor, we were able to hold up against König, and thankfully the Congo never actually fired us until he got taken down. Well, he never actually fired us and got taken down, probably a better way of putting it, so we weren't really at too much danger from him in the later engagement. Although, in my opinion, we could have handled the König a little bit better. We definitely didn't do anything major mistakes, like, you know, getting stuck on an island sideways on and then staying sideways on to keep shooting like the enemy König did, so that's good. Anyways, there really isn't much more to comment on this replay. A very well played game against the multiple opponents that were on that flank. Unfortunately, unable to pick up the Kraken, the Minikaza's torpedoes just managing to hit the 3-ho before our shells arrive. So, yeah. Anyways, 100,000 damage really isn't that bad, considering the situations and the fact that we didn't really have that many cruisers to delete. And actually, speaking of cruisers to delete, in the early game, waiting half a second as the foot attacker vanished could potentially have just been a reaction speed thing there, but had we waited, chances are the foot attacker would have shown back up again around the corner, and maybe we could have deleted him. Anyways, much shorter summary this time, because it was just such a well-played game. Hope you guys enjoyed this replay analysis. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.